Hi, and welcome to Unprepared Geeks, SmartBear's bi-weekly podcast about what's happening in the world of quality. We'll be discussing a bunch of topics today. One, from the perspective of testers, developers, and operations people out there. I'm Niclas.
I'm Erik.
I'm Henrik.
And I'm also Henrik.
And usually this is where I say, let's get started with the first topic, but today's first topic is also the only topic, Windows 8. So we're unprepared, but today we actually have been prepared. We've all been sitting down a bit prepared. The a bit prepared geeks. We've been trying out Windows 8, and so this is basically our first impressions of Windows 8. And I was thinking I should ask also Henrik. Today.
About my impressions.
Yeah.
It looks slick. I thought it was a bit it was hard to get to. We tried to get to all programs. Kind of the start menu is obviously gone and replaced by this Metro style starter page. But to get to all programs were really hard to kind of get to a place where you can find a list of all installed programs or search for programs. Apart from that, I think it's they're really focused on the Metro thing. Apart from that, it just seemed to be pretty safe bets. They upgraded something there. They've gone all in with ribbons, which I think is a good move. So safe play except for Metro. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I would love to say that I like it, because I think it's a bold move from Microsoft.
Obviously,
everyone is talking about, even Apple is talking about, they want to, soon no one will see the difference between a tablet and a laptop, and you can disconnect your keyboard from the Surface, Microsoft Surface, and also the SS Transformer. So obviously you want to have the same OS, because it's going to be the same thing in a few years, and Microsoft are the only player that's already there, and it's easy to bash it, because but when if Apple would release something similar, maybe they wouldn't. Maybe it's a hard domain. Maybe it's hard to do something like it should work for you should have right click menus, because people are used to that. They'll freak out if there's no right click, but at the same time you can't right click on a touch screen, so people will get freaked out if you have to right click, and I think it's a hard thing. I think they did a pretty good job.
Pretty good job. That's
I'm not too disappointed.
What about you, Erik?
Yeah, I have kind of the same impression as Henrik, I would say. However, I want to emphasize the removal of the classic start menu is a very bold move, I think, because I think that will drive people nuts in the beginning, especially like users that have been using Microsoft products for a long time, because you always expect it to be there, to have your program accessible. And for us, it was very hard to find that all apps menu. I mean, okay, if there was this red big button in the corner, something says like all apps, and you should just click that, then it's fine, but it was really hidden. So
should we explain how to get to all apps in Windows 8?
Yeah, the way maybe there's an easier way, but the way we got there finally was to first go to the Metro view by going to the right corner, and that's a different story, but I don't know what I feel about this corner thing, if that's really into it, to know which corner should you go to.
And it's completely visible until you find it.
No, exactly. Yeah. It's totally hidden. Like, so you really have to know that you have to interact. Whatever. But when you finally are at the Metro view, you have to right click to get some kind of bar in the bottom, and there you have all apps button, and I mean that's super complicated.
Which is on the opposite side of the left, which was kind of all apps, which was the start menu.
Yeah, exactly. You have the big Windows logo, and you just click it. You have the install program.
And actually, there is one of these big Windows logos, right? Still down on the left, but it's not.
It just sends
anything,
you back.
right?
It sends you back to Metro.
Yeah. Okay. So that's
it
what
sends
it
you back to Metro Start. Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not a Windows logo. No, it's just empty. But
No.
but
Yeah.
but when
Because you get some bar down there.
Yeah.
And there is a
like
window logo.
No, there's not a Windows logo. It's just
it's a miniature.
yeah,
metro.
but that just appears when you actually hover.
Yeah. Exactly.
Before that,
Yes.
it's just a complete blank bar,
Yeah.
actually.
Okay.
But the right-click thing is interesting because right-clicking to get to a crucial feature in the Metro interface. That's strange because the Metro interface should be the touch interface.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how do you right-click?
Yeah,
with
I don't
your,
know
with
if
your
like you have to
fingers?
like
You use the right hand, man.
like you long press or whatever. Yeah, but it's really interesting.
That's how you'll do it. If you use the right hand, it is the right click. If you use left hand, it's the left click.
Of course. I mean, it's a touch screen.
Yeah. But and I also agree with you that I get the point that they're trying to marry touch UI with standard desktop UI, but it's still I think like having this view, it's very obvious that they're not really there yet. Like it doesn't feel like seamless in any way.
No.
You have these like distinct modes, like you go in there and go there.
Yeah.
So it feels like you're having just two parallel OSs running. So
Yeah. But I wonder how what's the solution? What will Apple come up with? Which
will marry OS X and iOS. Yeah.
I think it's super hard, as you say, because they're a totally different like way to interact. Yeah. When you have a desktop computer, as you said, you have your full-blown keyboard, you have your mouse, big screen, and all that, and touch. Well, then you just have your fingers, clumsy fingers. That be big buttons. It can't be like some nitty-gritty things. So it's
I did a simple usability test, where I set myself a task, and I couldn't do it.
Okay,
I honestly couldn't do it.
What task?
It was going into the settings, going into the control panel and do a number of items, and I had a really hard time doing it. I must admit, I when we talked about doing a Windows 8 Unprepared Geeks, I was prepared to love it. I was prepared to install Windows 8 tomorrow when it comes out for real. I was planning to get myself a Windows phone and go all Windows, but after using it for 50 minutes, I think it's even worse than Windows ME. I think it's absolutely. I feel empty and spent.
No.
For using
it's still the same. I mean, from what we know, it's still the same robustness of Windows 7.
Fair enough.
I mean, the UI feels a bit pushed, or forced. But yeah.
But they forced and they're taking away all the goodness of the older operating system. I like Windows 7.
But still, you have to give Microsoft credit following the good old tradition of every other operating system being kind of sucky.
Yeah. So which one?
Windows
XP
9
was the good one, or 90 ME was the bad one.
Yeah. Windows 8 was the good one. 98.
Yeah.
98.
Yeah.
ME
ME bad. Then XP. Good. Then Vista bad.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Then 7 good. Then Windows 8 bad.
So if we think that, and we talked about lipstick on a pig last episode, and I don't mind lipstick on a pig if it's a cute pig. I come from the countryside, okay. But it's just too cumbersome for me. There's all the intuition is gone.
Yeah.
So if we say that, as me think it's horrible, to you think it's pretty decent. What do we think the end user will think? Is this a success or is it a failure?
I think the enterprise users, or I mean, they will consider this as a failure. I believe. They will be super confused by this Metro thingy. I believe, and also we talked a bit about the ribbon interface. Even though I think the ribbon interface is good, and usually, I remember you said that looking at studies that new users are finding it easier to use than using menus. Still, I mean, you know that users unfortunately they have a tendency to get stuck in some kind of way of working, even though that the way of working isn't the most open one. And changing that in that way would probably lead to big confusions and like support calls from Microsoft. So I think they will have a hard time in the beginning, at least. Then we'll see.
You guys think?
But maybe you have, as you said, you mentioned a bit about boldness. So maybe in the end this will turn out to be a good move. So somewhere on the line you have to be. I
mean, they couldn't have released, or could they have released the Surface tablet without Windows 8? I mean, with Windows 7 or with Windows Phone, it wouldn't make sense to disconnect the keyboard. Yeah. They want to get in there so bad that they're willing to kind of ruin some users' experience of Windows.
Which is also admirable. That's what makes it so sad, because having the gut, to leave the innovator's dilemma and reinvent Windows, it's bold, no doubt. It's just that. I think that's why I had such high hopes and why I'm so depressed currently. I'll be over tomorrow.
Yeah, you like the innovators.
But I mean, they're effectively doing and saying what Apple has always done and said. Like, we know how you're supposed to work.
And true,
and maybe they do. Maybe people initially will complain like crazy, but once they start to have their favorite apps right in the metro, and they know how to search for Notepad or whatever, maybe they get used to it because they realize that they use 4 applications 95% of the times. I don't know, maybe. And all these the windows, the corners, has actually been around for quite some time in the Linux world for KDE, and it's the Unity stuff came up with the border coming out and searching for apps. It has been around, not widespread, and everybody in the Linux world hate Unity, but still, it's not everybody. I actually run it at home.
And macOS has been search driven for a long time as well, so I get that. So what do you think about the design? I still think that's what enticed me, because I still think it's beautiful, and I'm thinking me doing functional testing on a Metro app is going to make my life so much easier, because the interface is pretty clear, the interface guidelines are pretty clear. It feels like it's going to make life easier for testers, and it's still beautiful.
But isn't it incredibly blue? I mean, it's like, I mean, it's so blue. I mean, it's not like blue. It's royal blue or something. It's very, very blue, right? Isn't it?
I mean, you can't resize Windows, can you? There's full screen. Everything is full screen. So, so that makes things easier if you wanna.
But how do you?
That's what I mean. It makes testing easier because there's just full screen. And everything is fixed.
Is that supposed to be like that on a desktop too?
Yeah, it is the only way. Metro apps are always full screen, except for the widget, desktop widgets kind of thing.
So you can't have, like, if you have my giant super big screen at home, I will have an Internet Explorer like
that'll be even more blue.
The problem in the future is not going to be burning on the screen. It's going to be burning on your eyes. Probably.
But on a side note, I've already seen from, I think it's the new Samsung Galaxy Note 2. They have a feature in which you can you can tile the windows. So you can have multiple apps, and then you can drag and resize. Like, I want to see YouTube on this side, and I want to see my browser on this side, and then flexibly. So it's getting there. I mean, it's becoming a PC, a full-fledged PC. So,
but they're doing it the other way around now. They're just full screen only, apparently.
Yeah, but Microsoft comes from the other end, and I don't know.
So maybe we end up somewhere in the middle.
So what do you think about full screen applications? The reason why I ask is because I've been using my tablet heavily lately, and the more I use it, the more annoyed I'm getting with full screen applications.
Oh, really?
Because I'm starting to feel the need for at least 2 applications on the same screen.
I think it totally depends on how big screen you have.
I think
screen.
It's less of a problem on a tablet. I think.
I can't imagine
on a desktop with huge screen. It's like
I couldn't imagine how it would work on a phone.
Phone fine, but on my 10-inch tablet.
Yeah, maybe, but definitely on a desktop screen. I need to have some kind of timing. I would go nuts if I weren't able to have whatever, my editor there and my web browser there if I'm coding or something.
Go ahead, Henrik.
I was just going to say that I think that the full screenness and the single kind of you do one thing and you just have that thing open. I think that's one of the major thing that made tablets and phones usable for the mainstream. I had to say I see a lot of people, otherwise newbies, they just open apps and gets lost between windows and closing applications. So I think it was a really good thing for user experience. But then in the long run they'll have to provide some kind of powerful options.
You're probably right there, because I remember those really early smartphones, if you even can call them
Windows
smartphone.
CE.
Exactly. They really looked like a regular desktop.
They had the start menu.
Exactly, the desktop OS, but just smaller, and you have the stylus, the little pen where you like imitate
that
the
was
mouse.
really when you know, looking at that time from this day's perspective, that was really naive.
Yes.
Because now we had a technology to kind of now we have Retina displays and everything. But back then they had slow processors, bad screens, and still they couldn't like think outside the box. We have to make it like a start menu, have to make it Windows, have to make it you click on just this pixel.
Exactly.
That's very
naive. It was extremely naive.
Yeah. But the you should never underestimate the drive to keep something the way they are.
Yep.
It's deeply ingrained in humans, I think, as a species, that something we're used to. It's the natural thing is to make more of what we're used to.
One last thing I'd like to talk about is, because it's getting pretty clear now, we have the Apple world, the iOS world, we have the Windows world, which and both have their own ecosystems, and then we're seeing the let's call it the Google world, in which you have Android and possibly, because we're seeing new Chromebooks and stuff. So
yeah, I would say from a software perspective, maybe you're right from a hardware, but I'd say from a service perspective, we have already had the Google world for a long time and the Apple world, but Microsoft world is getting there.
Yeah,
but maybe. From software perspective, you're right, but from a service perspective, now with Windows 8, Microsoft are starting to. You can't start a calendar app without having a Microsoft account. You can't start this, and everything is integrated.
The same thing for the other two as well. You have to have accounts and have their cloud solution for backing up, and so and the question I'm thinking of us as testers and developers. I mean, how are we going to keep up with three different worlds? Because they are three different different ecosystems, different development, different testing, everything.
They're kind of forcing you to choose a slot, and maybe that's a good thing for Microsoft, because they still have I think they still have the greatest percentage of all users, whether it's phones or computers.
Yeah.
Even the iPhone or Android be as big as they want to, but Microsoft Windows is like 95% of the market.
Yep.
So if they can make people subscribe to their accounts, and then when people buy a phone, they're like, oh, my calendar is already integrated here.
Yeah, it's already integrated. You're already using Xbox Music or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And you'll be so this is what they're doing. Henrik found it out. That's what the Microsoft strategy is. They're building exit barriers for the end users.
Yeah.
The stuff that keeps you in the Google world, they're trying to emulate in the Microsoft world, and they still have the users. The users still haven't really moved over to Google or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I think is kind of fun with it, because I know this behavior like some years ago, let's say 10 years ago or whatever, Microsoft was accused for this, like even then, like, evil company, they have this all this power, especially from the Linux community, and like, it should be free, you should be able to do whatever you want. Then Apple came along, and then suddenly it was okay. They made it okay. Made it okay to be closed down, and like not to have this openness that was preached from the Linux community, and now all of a sudden it's totally fine for Microsoft to continue doing this.
Yeah. What Henrik was saying, and I totally agree with. Humans want to have what they had before. It's also that's like amazing, and it's also amazing how we as humans are getting used to things to new things that fast. Because I remember when Gmail came around, people were like they read my mails, they do ads based on my mails. Now I mean Facebook, come on, and also now Gmail, just a few weeks ago they released a new feature which actually they they index your attachments, so your zip files, your PDFs, your everything, and you can search and they get ads based on that, and no one reacted. They were like,
what? So you're saying Google is looking at my skinny pictures?
Yeah, but people are getting so used to it.
So this means we have to break. I have to delete some pictures from Gmail. Thank you for watching Unprepared Geeks. You can follow us on Twitter at SmartBear, or join the discussion using the hashtag Unprepared Geeks. And I think that's it.
But what about the iPad event? What is the iPad Mini?
What iPad?